Well, welcome to the Celebrity Chef Show. My name is John Ferrucci, and this evening we're going to make a pasta dish. I call it, I guess, spaghetti jardiniere. We're going to use some fresh vegetables. We're going to strip them so they're long strands with this little stripper thing. I don't know if it's a Pampered Chef tool or if you can buy this in any store, but I'll show you how we're going to use that in a minute. And then we're going to saute that off in a little bit of olive oil and butter, some garlic and shallots. We're going to cook our pasta, and then when the vegetables are ready, we're going to toss them together. So let's get started here. First thing you want to do is trim up your. I'm using zucchini, yellow squash, some scallions, and also a carrot, just for color. I've got some tomato bits, garlic, shallots, and white wine, and some fresh basil we're going to be using. So this little tool here is very simple to use. We want to make long cuts because we want the strands to be fairly long. So we'll just start at the end, hold this vegetable from the bottom, and see how it makes these nice long strands. This is going to be delightful with the spaghetti. Now you want to turn this because we don't want to get the center of this zucchini where the seeds are. Once you start getting to the seed portion, you're going to stop doing this. You want to get pretty much all the meat of the zucchini and the yellow squash. And then, of course, you can use the rest of the squash for something else, another dish. You could saute it with some onions and fresh tomatoes. You don't necessarily have to waste it or throw it away. So that would be what we would use for the zucchini. Put this over here. Also, whenever I'm cooking, I always like to keep all my ingredients separate so we could see what we have when we're putting our meal together. Sometimes you like to use a little bit more, a little bit less of what you prepped up. Again, with the yellow squash, same way. Now, yellow squash, it seems like the seeds come a little bit quicker. See, I'm already at that seed section. So you want to watch what you're doing. You don't want to get too far down where you're going to start getting seeds in your cup. And these look like they're separate. They're one piece, but they are separate strands. That's about all we're going to get out of this one. Maybe one more here. Okay. Again, you can saute that up with a little some onions and tomatoes and make a little side dish with that. And that's our yellow squash and our green squash. And these will separate when we saute, so you don't have to worry about that. Carrot the same way. Nice long strips. I just want to use a few carrots for color, actually, because they'll cook about the same time, I guess, as the squash. See how nice they are? We'll do that for color. That's why I'm calling this dish a jardiniere, which implies, fresh vegetables, and that's exactly what we have here. I think that's all I'm going to use are the carrots. Okay? Again, see how you line up all your ingredients so you know what you have. And we'll put these to the side, put the carrot to the side. Now your scallions, we're just going to slice these. So we'll bring them to size so they're all easier to cut that way. The bulb we're going to just cut in half. Now we can put them together and just slice them nice and thin. Because you wouldn't want to cut these in that length, because as you're eating, you wouldn't want to get a long piece of scallion. The onion flavor would be too much. But you do want that mild onion flavor, so that's why we just cut it into ringlets. Okay. There's those scallions. Goes over there. Now next we got our shallot, which I've already peeled. And these I'd like to just slice nice and thin. Okay? Nice thin strips. All right. We'll put these on the dish. Now, scallion is sort of a mild onion, kind of between an onion and a garlic. Generally, when we make sauces in a restaurant, if we use garlic, we're going to also use a shallot. I have some garlic peeled here. Probably going to use garlic will impart a very nice flavor. Let me get my... I just want to cut the tip of it off. You could discard that. Okay. We'll probably put this amount of garlic, maybe 4 bulbs that is or so. That one's all set. This one's all set. Now these the same thing. I'm going to slice them. I'm going to try to get them as thin as I could. Okay. Lay those down and hit them one more time. Perfect. 2 more pieces here. This is California garlic. I always like when I'm purchasing garlic. I don't like to use China garlic. I don't know how long they've had it on the shelf. I don't know how long, what type of soil they've grown in. So if you're not sure, just ask your market where the garlic comes from. You could do that with all your vegetables, actually. But I know that this was marked California garlic. Once I sliced it, then I'll slice sort of julienne the slices. Because you don't want a nice hunk of garlic either. Garlic would definitely be... definitely going to make this dish. I can pick this up here. So this is what we call in the trade as mise en place. Mise en place means your pre-preparation. So before you start your dish, before you even start cooking, you have to have everything prepared so that when it comes time to assemble the dish, you put it all together, all your ingredients are ready. We're also going to use in this dish some beautiful fresh basil. I might have a little too much here. And when we cut basil, we trim off the stem, we roll it, okay? And this is called a chiffonade cut. Again, we're going to cut it nice and thin strips. Okay, again, it's a chiffonade cut. Put it like this, nice and thin. There you go. So see how that'll all separate. Once we start sauteing, that'll all separate in our dish. I'll put this over here by the shallots. Just rinse my knife off. Now, before I start sauteing these, I'm going to put my water on for the pasta, so that by the time these are sauteed, the pasta will be cooked. It'll all come together. I'm also going to use an electric skillet. So you could see how we're doing it here. We won't have to leave this area or go to the stove. So let me turn the water back up on this pasta water, which is almost boiling. And I have about 1/2 pound of thin spaghetti is what we're going to make here. And that'll be enough for 2 portions. Of course, you know, my demonstrations is my dinner also. So it's only the 2 of us, my wife and myself, so that'll be perfect. So we're going to start with a little bit of olive oil, maybe a couple tablespoons. I also like to use what's called ghee, and you can buy this in the grocery store now. And what this is it's clarified butter, so it's butter that's been melted, and only the golden part of the butter, the oil of the butter, okay, is taken off. So they don't take up all the residue, the water, the milk solids and all that. That would burn as you saute. So most restaurants use this, but we don't buy it like this. We make our own. We melt down our own butter and make our own ghee. And it doesn't need to be refrigerated. We usually make a whole batch at a time. Well, we would freeze we would melt down maybe a 35 pound block of butter. And sometimes we also might mix, make it a 60-40 mix. We might use melted butter and also some margarine to cut expenses a little bit. The water's not quite boiling, but as soon as this pan gets a little hot, we're going to start sauteing our vegetables. Now, what I'd like to do is, and I also have some diced tomatoes here too for a little color, and some fresh grated Pecorino Romano cheese. And the garlic, I think we're through with. I also have a half a cup of white wine we're going to add to that. And I've got a little bit of heavy cream that at the end, we're just going to pick up all those beautiful vegetables and pasta with that heavy cream. It'll help adhere the vegetables and pasta together so we have a nice dish. I have some hot pepper flakes for a little spice, and also a little fresh butter that we're going to put in at the end to finish up our dish too. Don't know if we're quite ready yet here. Almost. Yep, I can smell the oil beginning to melt. So we'll start off by doing our carrots actually first. They're going to take the longest. So just let those saute just for a minute or so before we add the other vegetables. It's already beginning to smell delicious. We add our zucchini. See, this gives you the opportunity that if you feel you have too much, you can leave it behind. If you've just thrown everything on the plate, it's too difficult to separate at that time. I'm going to also put in my shallots, my garlic. I'm going to hold the basil. Till almost the end. When you're working with fresh spices, you want to hold them to the end because it sometimes gets bitter with the heat. And the tomatoes also we're going to wait for the end. Now we got a good shot of that so we can see how our vegetables are sauteing. They're already beginning to get transparent, which means they're beginning to cook. Now I see my water's boiling. I'm going to throw my pasta in. The pasta is going to take about 6 minutes, and by then we should be set on our vegetables. So I'm going to set the timer for 6 minutes actually. Okay, put my pasta fork here. And stir that in so that they don't stick. I'm using just a shallow, kind of a brazier pan, saute. It's only a half a pound of pasta, so you don't need a tremendous amount of water. And today's pastas are not very starchy at all. You know, these are almost where we want to be. So I'm going to add my tomatoes to this. I'm sorry for the feedback. I don't know what's going on here today. I'll add my tomatoes. This is about one plum tomato. Again, I don't think I want to use all that either. Okay. It's already beginning to smell delicious in here with that garlic. And we put our basil in now. Just let the heat get to that a little bit. Now we're going to put in our deglaze our white wine. I like to put a little bit of crushed pepper flakes in there just for a little taste, a little bite. I think just a little fresh ground pepper. Okay. I'm going to keep this fire down a little bit. I'm going to salt this a little bit. I always like to use kosher salt because you can feel it in your fingers, so it gives you a good sense of how much you're adding. So this is where we want to be right now. So we're gonna just kick that heat right down. Let me stir my pasta, and this will have a few minutes to go. So as soon as that pasta is done, we'll put this dish together, and I'll be right back. Well, welcome back, and the pasta's cooked now, so we're going to drain that out, but we're going to save some of that water because it's got some starch in it, and it sometimes helps hold the, actually I'm going to put it right back in this dish, it actually helps hold the dish together. So I'm going to strain that out, put this nice cooked pasta. We started our pan up. It's starting to sizzle again. There you go. Perfect. Okay. Then, let's turn this in. Now, as you can see, we put those beautiful vegetables in with this pasta. It's already beginning to smell delicious. The garlic, the zucchini, the shallots. Such a healthy dish. That's why I'm calling it a jardiniere. I really don't have a name for it. It's just something I want to make for dinner tonight. We'll put some nice grated cheese, pecorino here. Okay, work that in. I also want to put in just a little serving of some fresh butter. This is beautiful. This is from a local farm, a local Amish farm. So you know it's beautiful, grade A, delicious butter, so rich. And like I said, I'm going to put a little bit of heavy cream just to kind of bind this all together. Okay, not too much, maybe a couple tablespoons. That's all. Let's see how that works. Yes, perfect. See how it just picks everything up. Let that reduce. I'll get a serving platter. Oh, this could be delicious. See how that heavy cream is thickening up? Everything is getting coated, which is what you want. It picks up all those beautiful flavors. So let's get a towel here. All right, let's serve this up. Lower our heat. Oh, look at that. That is going to be gorgeous. Let's move this to the side. Actually, I'm going to put all this, I'll serve it in this dish itself, actually. Yes, that heavy cream really helped out. It really helped bind everything together. I'm going to finish this off with just a little bit more grated cheese, a touch of that black pepper. Now I also want to put on, just as a garnish, a little bit of fresh chopped basil. And by just cutting it up now, I'm releasing those oils. It's going to give a nice fragrance. So there's our dish tonight. I'm calling it pasta jardiniere. I hope everyone enjoyed my video. Don't forget to turn into my channel, Celebrity Chef John Ferrucci. Enjoy. Good luck.